So our next key concept is hypotheses. So hypotheses are statements of the relationship between two or more variables. We use hypotheses to study the nature of social reality. Remember that becoming social scientists means taking our guesses and developing a systematic method by which we can research them. And so a hypothesis is, making that claim of some sort of relationship between two or more variables and then studying, that particular relationship. At minimum, a hypothesis must have one independent variable, which I want you to, begin to develop your understanding of independent variable as a presumed cause, and one dependent variable, a presumed effect. So again, this is at minimum. It is possible to have multiple independent variables that we might be studying within the context of a hypothesis. But at minimum, we have to have one independent variable, one dependent variable. As an example, if we describe this relationship between smoking weed negatively impacting GPA. So that's a hypothesis, right? We're talking about this idea of this activity, smoking weed, and this, this I don't know if I want to call it a demographic variable. Again, I'm not going to ask you to differentiate, but then this, measure of student performance in a course as GPA, right? So the hypothesis, this particular hypothesis, suggests that there's a relationship between two variables, one of which is smoking weed, the other of which is grade point average. We're suggesting that smoking weed has an effect on GPA. Therefore, smoking weed is our independent variable and GPA is our dependent variable. All right. So just to kind of bring in some of that language from the previous video on variables, remember that variables are characteristics of human behavior. So smoking weed can differ from individual to individual. GPA can differ from individual to individual. So this is how we can kind of continue to recognize that language of variables. And then now we're introducing this new language of independent variable, again the presumed cause, and dependent variable, again the presumed effect. Just want to introduce a couple more examples here. So we'll start with attending embedded tutoring sessions. I always encourage students that if you have access to an embedded tutor, if you have access to supplemental instruction leaders, attend those, right? Always go to those things, because research shows that attending embedded tutoring sessions increases grades. And so the hypothesis here suggests a relationship between two variables, one of which is attending embedded tutoring sessions, the second of which is grades. And so we're suggesting that attending embedded tutoring has an effect on grades. Therefore, attending embedded tutoring is our independent variable, the presumed cause, and grade is our dependent variable, the presumed effect. And again, I do want to emphasize here that research does show that there is a true relationship in that attending embedded tutoring does increase grades. So I know, I'm not necessarily talking about only, this class, but other classes. If you have access to embedded tutoring or supplemental instruction in those classes, take advantage of them. All right, hypothesis example number 2, playing video games increases levels of aggression. So the hypothesis here suggests a relationship between two variables, one of which is playing video games, the second of which is levels of aggression. I'm a huge gamer myself, and this is if you're, I don't even think you need to be, a self-described gamer in order to know that this is an idea that has often been put forth as a hypothesis, right? Suggesting that playing video games increases levels of aggression or makes people more aggressive. But our two variables here are gaming as one variable. This is a characteristic that can differ from individual to individual, and then levels of aggression, another variable as a characteristic that can differ from one person to another. So gaming is our independent variable. We're saying that this is going to have some form of cause on our dependent variable, levels of aggression.